Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of 𝗂𝗶𝗀, a wandering podcast about cinema. We are very happy and honored to welcome the distinguished director, Sergei Loznitsa. We'll discuss his new film, Mr. Landsbergis, which premiered at the 25th Tallinn Black Nights Film Festival this year. I'll take just a few seconds to introduce the movie to our audience. For the first time, Mr. Loznitsa appears as the interviewer in conversation with Professor Vytautas Landsbergis about crucial events from 1987 till 1993. Perhaps in the most comprehensive confession, the godfather of the restored Lithuanian independence shares his bright memories, detailed explanation, and even current evaluations about what really happened during the blockade in negotiation with Mr. Gorbachev. Winner of the top prize at the International Documentary Film Festival in Amsterdam, this epic chronicle of the early collapse of the USSR is authoritative and detailed even by the exacting standards to which Mr. Loznitsa has accustomed us. A 4-hour record of dense political negotiations and standoffs, braided with one extended talking head interview, stands as a major achievement in an already brilliant career. And I would like to give the floor to our co-host Ricardo for the first questions to Mr. Loznitsa.
Well, thank you, Davide. And we are very honored to welcome Mr. Loznitsa and discuss the remarkable film. Landsbergis is the case of a politician who came to power and fulfilled his promises. He promised to take his country out of the Soviet Union, and he delivered on his promise. Through your film, he comes across as a quiet, resolute statesman, and in the interviews as a modest, wise sage. So I would like to start this conversation from here. What fascinated you most about this man?
This man fascinated me. I remember his first speech in this Congress of the Deputy in 1989, yes, in June. And since that moment, I just follow him and read all his, not all, but some his articles, and follow what happened in Lithuania, because Lithuania was the most, avant-garde republic in Soviet Union when Soviet Union collapsed. But this is, I think, this is my second film about this time and about the collapsing of Soviet Union and about coup d'etat in 1991. So, and this first film, which named Event, describe even that moment when coup was in Moscow, and it was like point of view from Russia or from Soviet Union, from St. Petersburg, let's say, and this point of view from another perspective, from Lithuanian and from a country where people fight for independence and fight against Soviet occupation. So, and I think because this story was not telling in proper way, that it's necessary to make this film. And when I start work on it, I first of all try to find maximum as possible the footages which exist in private archives, and these archives, this footage was shot on VHS tape. It means that the quality for 30 years is less and less, and we on the border to miss all this information. So, and I find quite a lot from private, from people who shot in that time. And the most interesting episode I edited, and through that we save it for history. Now it's a DCP 2K quality. So, and yeah, a little bit work like a historian.
Well, the film presents a very different Gorbachev than the man who has generally been celebrated as the benevolent engineer of perestroika, even in very recent movies. During the making of the film and your conversation with Landsbergis, did your perception of him change as well?
Perception of Gorbachev?
Yeah.
No, because I never think, even in that time, that the Gorbachev is an engineer of the perestroika and etc., etc. He, I don't know, play his role, I can say. But he was not, I think, the main person who defined the politic in Soviet Union. You know, and you can see his destiny after that. He lose power. He was not fight for the power in December 1991, and he tried in Russia elect as a Russian president, and he get 3%. And this is a myth that Gorbachev is a person who would like to bring freedom to Russian people and liberate this regime. No, he was a you know, 100% the bureaucrat from party, Communist Party, with all these things. But in that time, when I was young, and when these Soviet authorities turn they face, let's say, so-called nice face, human face to the public, to the population, it was kind of a surprise for many people who lived in Soviet Union, because long time you speak with a wall. In this wall was like posters. Our future is communism, and that's all. You can say what you want, but the reaction will be very defined, and you know this reaction. But in middle of 1980s, middle of 80s, surprisingly, they start published the books, for example, which was forbidden a long time, about Gulag, about, I don't know, other like about immigrants who you know, was active in 20s, and they start to publish it, Lolita. And it was a very strange time when I have a friend who he you know, he was sued for Lolita, which was founded in at his home, and he gets something like a few years prison for Lolita. And when he just entered to the prison and was arrested and seated in the prison, in same time Lolita was published. You know, this is ridiculous. Because system by inertia work, how it necessary, but something happened, and I think they just start to shaking this basis of Soviet regime and Soviet system, because, as Landsbergis said in an interview, they realized that they are bankrupt with this hopeless Soviet Union. And they try to make something. And it was a very interesting moment for all these countries which was before occupation, independent country, interesting moment and right moment to escape from Soviet Union. And important to know that only 3 countries escaped. For at least 30 years, they just independent and real independent from the other countries, more or less. It's like they are officially independent, but unofficially you can see what happened. Somewhere in some places, like in Ukraine, it's a war. Armenia, Azerbaijan, it's a war. And where Russia play some role, and etc., etc. In Georgia, it's a war or like peace, but with some condition, without some territory. Moldova, the same, you know, unpredictable territory exists, and you never know when the fire come back again to this place. So, but more or less somehow, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, they protect themselves from, I don't know, at least for 30 years. We'll see what happened in the future. But this is, I think it's a good lecture for politicians, for people also, how to have a deal with such a dangerous animal like Soviet Union, and now it's a Russian Federation, because nothing changed in this country.
As usual with your documentaries, sound has been meticulously recreated where appropriate, using voice artists and Foley. Can you tell us a little more about this process?
Yeah, but this is, you know, we now work with the sound even with the archive where no sound at all, you know, and I try to make this sound for the film rich and fit to the moment which image describe. And of course, we use some images which was shot on VHS tape with a pure microphone, and we have to make a sound like 5.1 for big ZAL. And yeah, we record a lot and use a lot some O-tone or different kind of atmosphere for that. And also I dub quite a lot. I work with the actors, and we work with like extras. We record the voices, crowd, and etc., etc. And it was like around 100 extras for dubbing. So yeah, it was quite intensive work during 3 months. Yeah, and I still watch film and collect the notation notes where I have to a little bit repair and change. Yeah. The film is big, 4 hours. It's quite a lot of work. Yeah. And we made this film for 1.5 years. 1.5 years. It is the longest time when I edit and work on the film, including the feature. I made a feature film 1 year, not more.
Yeah. Well, the Landsbergis co-credited with you as a screenwriter is not the film subject, but his son, a documentarist in his own right. What was his role in this project?
Yeah, it was idea which appears when we, you know, speak about this history in March 2020. Yes, and my question was, okay, we have such a great person who have this all knowledge, and why nobody shoot him? I'm not, you know, I made the interview first time in my life. I didn't include any interview in my film, but we have such a great person, and so interesting to speak with him, to have a dialogue, to have a conversation with him. And I proposed to Vytautas Junior. I proposed, maybe I will try. And after that, we plan our work, and he helped with a lot of footage. He participated in this working with the footage also. So, and proposed some things, and of course he's like a part of this creation process, and we just decided that he will be a co-writer. So it was a very, very interesting time during the shooting and even after that, with a lot of events. For me, it was the most difficult film which I ever did.
Your previous film, 𝗵𝗂𝗕𝗄, which premiered in Cannes, he has been the subject of controversy in Ukraine, with some local historians and media figures coming out against it. What do they blame your film for?
Oh, who blame? This is a question. Who is blaming my film? And I can answer. The people who would like create a new mythology, they are blaming. People who don't want to look to the history and don't want to accept this, the facts which happened in this history, because this is absolutely, the fact exists and it is not discussable at all. We can explain why, for example, in Ukraine, even in West Ukraine, people collaborate with Germans, but this is another topic. And why they participate in these actions against the Jewish population. You know, all this history was written not by Ukrainian historians. This history was written carefully by like Americans, Canadian, not Ukraine, so Israeli, but not local historians. And it is, of course, every nation have a skillet in wardrobe, как шкаф, closet, шкаф. Yes, skeleton in the closet. Yes, sorry. So, and this is a skeleton in the closet in Ukraine. Yeah. And this, of course, keep in mind that during this Soviet time, 50 years, was forbidden to tell about this. And people who study in school, they didn't know anything about that. And after, when Ukraine started to build a new country, also it was a case which disturbed, you know, to create this mythology of, you know, United Nation. And etc. etc. It is difficult now, even now, for some people to understand and to tell true. So, but in any case, in Ukraine, this film was shown, and 5 million people watch it on TV. 5 million is like 1/8 part of population, like 15%, quite a lot. Quite a lot. And I think it will be a part of Ukraine culture, step by step. And this is a result of the work of the 𝗵𝗂𝗕𝗄 Memorial Center, which exists and work already 4 years. And they build monuments and they collect all information and they publish the books and made the films, and will create and will build a museum, a big museum in that place. So step by step, not so easy. But this kind of people is not a lot who are against film.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Loznitsa, for your time. And 𝗏𝗏, of course, will return next month with a brand new episode. So we'll see you all in a few weeks. Thank you and goodbye.